Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Is there any way we can do this without the video camera?
Sure, exactly.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Only because my hair is a complete mess.
Oh,
And
we all have the same issue sometimes.
no, yours looks great.
But sometimes we always say like, oh no, I'm not feeling myself completely. But just want to let you know, it's not gonna be like a interview to be like rush on your art. It's just to learning more about you, and especially I always give the tip on my channel about marketing and everything. And I
Right.
know you're the best to do that. So I was like, it's an opportunity to say, you see, there the tip I give you, there are people who on the top. I'm not on the top right now, but there are people on the top. And it's I look at those people to give you those tips, especially in French, I know. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I got you.
Exactly. But again, thank you
No.
to join me, Miradoa. And I won't don't hesitate. You can talk with me. I'm just gonna introduce a bit myself because I know it's the first time we're talking very much.
Right.
So me, I'm Ladoa. I'm a YouTuber, and more, I'm passionate about marketing. I didn't really study marketing. I'm just love. I'm really when I'm passionate about something, I will look everything. And as you see, that's the way you see my video when I did the when you were talking about the situation with the Jay-Z and stuff like that. So now you can tell me a bit about yourself, introduce yourself, Jonathan.
I like your tattoo. What is that?
Yes, is a plume
Oh, nice. I
like
like
that
it.
here. It represents freedom. I did it when I was in Guatemala, but it represents freedom. So that's my setup, my mindset, like about
Right,
freedom.
right, 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 right. So I'm Jonathan Hay. I've been doing publicity and marketing for as far back as I can remember. I got lucky. Like I was in college and the artist that I was working with got a record deal and I was kind of like thrown into it. I didn't have any clue of what to do. So I learned from like trial and error. I learned from like messing up so many times, because I was just thrown into it. And then
Great.
and then here I am.
So it was like being there in the right time, being in the place in the right time, and you just learn.
Serendipity, correct.
That's definitely a good thing. And also, I was looking a bit. I know you do music as well yourself.
I That's kind of like a hobby,
Oh,
right? Because the PR and the publicity stuff is what I've been doing forever, and kind of like to because that can get very stressful. So it's like the music that I do isn't like the music that I would publicize. I like to do like jazz music, and I like to do music that doesn't have like a lot of publicity or marketing behind it. It's more about the music itself. So I've got like two brains. I've got like the music side when I produce, and then I got the publicity side. And the publicity side is, let's go, let's get as much, you know, um, publicity as possible. Let's do whatever it takes. And the music side is like, let's stay authentic. We don't care about the publicity, right? So it's like a
yeah.
constant, it's like a conflict. But I like to make jazz music.
Okay, into jazz. That's really cool. And now, I know it's a hobby. You're doing it more as a hobby, but sometimes I think when we start something as a hobby, it can go far away. Do you expect it to be far away, or you still gonna stay in the publicist side?
The publicity side,
Okay.
because because music is changing so rapidly with AI,
Yes, that's true. The AI.
and it's scary. And so like the value of music isn't what it used to be or where it needs to be. So I'm gonna just and like listen, I didn't do PR for like a few years, right? Like during the pandemic, I was like chilling with my girl, for 3 years. We would travel to like Dallas or living in like New York. And she like wanted me to retire pretty much. And she was like, you don't have to work. And so I got out of like publicity for a few years and just really focused on her because I made some investments years ago that I didn't really need to like work anymore. But I would always tell her, I would always be like, I've got to do something. I've got to do something. I got to get, relevant. And I felt like she was like, looked at me like I was too old. So that's why all this campaign that I'm doing now is like, bombing all these young kids like, yo, I still got it. I'm not washed up. I can still compete at a high level. So that's what I love. I love publicity and marketing.
That's the thing. Also, and you tell me when you start doing Publicist, it came to you. The Publicist more came to you, and when you started, because I know you start with many name. Is it the name come to you also, or is where you go to present yourself to do? You say I'm a publicist to them. Did you present yourself, or they came to you?
It's funny that you say that. So the group got a record deal, right? And they were exploding, selling millions of records. And the lead singer told me, he was like, "Are you like the manager?" I was like, "No, we've got a manager." He was like, "Okay, you should be the personal manager." And I was like, "No." And then somebody said something about a publicist, and I was like, "What is that?" And I remember exactly where I was. And this is like before the internet to like search definitions and stuff. And
Yes.
so once I figured it out, I was like, yeah, I'm the publicist. You
Okay,
know.
came to you. Like
Yeah,
you didn't want to be manager, but the publicist came up.
yeah, so I was which in publicity, when you're a publicist, is also a management aspect because it's like managing the media, it's like managing, the strategy and stuff like that. So it was something that, like I said, it was like a God thing that fell into my lap, and I just took it and ran with it.
Yeah, definitely. And also because you tell me the thing, at some point you were saying, did I still have my place there because of the gap different? But I'm pretty sure you still have it because you have the experience. I see many names you was working with, like Ice Cube,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
regret, like the late Whitney Houston, and we all know because Rihanna as well, the in 2015. So when working with those names, like, is it you have to find a story? They call you to get a story for them at some point.
No, so when I started working with Whitney Houston's father's company, which was John Houston Entertainment, she was she's not like the Whitney Houston that we know of today. She was like struggling in her personal life, and her career was low. You know how it is with all these artists. They tend to like, they fall off. It's just what happens. It's a natural progression. It's
Yeah.
like the brutal circle of life within, celebrity. So when I started working with her, she was like on a low. She wasn't like she is now, where when she died, then she became legend, which is sad because she's always been a legend, and she wasn't respected because there was all the talk of all the drug use and the abusive relationship with Bobby, and there was lawsuits, and we couldn't book any shows because we couldn't, sell out any of the like the stadiums. So, and she didn't want to do like small clubs, right? So
Yes.
it was very tough. And so anyways, working with her, which was a blessing. I loved every minute of it. It was amazing to spend time with her because I grew up as such a fan, and she's probably, the greatest singer I've ever heard, right? So like when I was working with her and I proved myself, then it just kind of like took off from there. And then one of the partners in John Houston Entertainment introduced me to a producer, and that producer was working with Rihanna. And
Hey.
so that's how that came into play. It's just always been these things like I've never really seeked it out. It's kind of fallen in my lap, and that's something that I've noticed. It's like when I push for something and I like try to like force it and I become obsessed with it and I try to, make it happen, it doesn't happen as well as it does when it just naturally and organically happens, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. It totally makes sense on this. I completely feel you also. Sometimes when I came with stuff and it just those when you just when you think something will be number one will come more and it didn't and the thing you didn't expect, you're like, okay.
Right. Right. Yeah, for
Totally
sure.
understand you. That's the thing about life. And
It is.
I also want to tell you something. Before going to the Rihanna, to go with the Ice Cube. When the time you meet Ice Cube, is it the time he was more gangster, or is the time he tried to polish himself to be more like general public, family
It
public?
was so I was working I got to work with Ice Cube because he was doing this painting project called Rare Ink, which was a charity project.
Oh,
And that's how I met him and worked with him during that time. We didn't work together much during that moment. I mean, since that moment, but that was like the thing that we did together. And then I worked with his producers and whatnot and stuff like that. But no, I didn't get to work with Ice Cube when he was in his gangster rap days. But I love Ice Cube and his gangster rap days. Like I grew up like a real hip hop head.
yes, the time the rap means something. The lyrics on the rap means a lot of stuff when we listen to it. I was listening to NWA the other time. I was like, it was
Yeah,
different,
yeah, yeah.
definitely. And do you work with other rapper, or it was the only one on the rapper side you work with?
So I've worked with like a lot of hip hop artists and rap, and I went through like a very traumatic experience where I was in a home invasion.
Oh,
And,
really?
yeah, and I was like pistol whooped, and I was like duct taped, and I was like, it was very traumatic because my 14-year-old daughter was there,
Oh no.
and so we were held for like 2 hours, and while I was like duct taped, I was just praying, and it was like if I survive this, then I'm gonna quit doing any kind of music with any kind of violent content because I felt like my energy and stuff that I have promoted that, because I worked with like a lot of artists and I would ignore the content and I was more focused on getting the publicity, but the energy and the vibration that we were putting out was negative. And I was like, now here I am duct taped with my daughter with the same type of energy that I've promoted all my life. So that's when I stopped really doing hip hop and that's when I started doing jazz. Right. And then I had success with jazz. Like we had 3 Billboard #1 jazz albums.
Yeah.
And and the last one we did was with some old school rap artists that I was a fan of, Eric B and Rakim. I collaborated with them and we did a rap album. I mean a jazz album. We were like 8 weeks #1. It was great, so I try to I look, I love hip hop, I love rap, but I won't promote anything violent anymore and I'm very cautious of what I choose to work on because of that energy, right? So,
Yes, definitely. And when you tell about energy, did you believe on the right now those artists playing with some dark energy? Because I know many people talk about that, the dark energy in some.
mm, yeah, but I think they're unaware of it. I don't think that, people say stuff like, "Oh, they sold their soul to the devil," and like, what does that mean? Like people, like they talk about the Illuminati, and I think people do dark things to like dark music just for like shock value and just for promotion, and they're not really dark like that, like their content or in real life.
Mhm.
But then when you put out that vibration, then you start, it's like bringing those spirits, right? It's like bringing those demons. It's like manifesting the darkness. And so you're surrounded by it, by the fan base and the demographics that you've now, got. So you're surrounded by that type of thing. So it's pretty weird, but yes, I definitely believe in that.
Okay, so that's another point to see. Like, so they're not aware where they came to. So that's another way to say it. I was like, people was always telling they did it purposely, but yes, it's another way to think about. Definitely.
Right, right. It's like the evil eye out there, So you gotta stay away from that. And so like the girl that I've been dating for like the last 3 years, she's Dominican, and so she's like constantly doing like sage, and it's like real. The culture is like it's more peaceful than what I grew up with. I love it. So
Yes, Dominican, like they really spiritual as well as
very
I
spiritual.
came from. Yes, I'm on the island too. I'm just next to the Dominican. So
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
we really spiritual on that way, definitely. But
Right.
that's why we have to protect ourselves, especially you being when you've been inside those energy, you have to protect your energy, as you say. And you had a home invasion. Could be it was the big bad thing happened to you, the home invasion, or you have other thing traumatic more than that. I think it's already a big one, the
Y-
evasion.
Yeah, the home invasion was like very, very traumatic, right? Because once we got out of it, like my daughter and I, and that was in April of 2017. Three people went to prison. They pled guilty to kidnapping and robbery charges, and they went to prison. But it would kept like recycling in my mind. I would kept thinking about it, and the PTSD and trauma was still present, and it's always there. But it did something very interesting, and I felt galvanized because it's like I faced such a like violent situation. Like I used to never fly, right? I would always like drive, and it was annoying because I would like drive across country from like, New York to Florida to LA because I was just scared. And it would take me like days and days and days. So, and I didn't like to go, travel overseas. But like immediately I started flying. I started living actually. I went through like a total midlife crisis. I got like tatted up, sleeved up everywhere, grew my hair out, started doing jazz music and just like becoming a completely different person, all from the trauma, right? So,
That's it.
um, but it was impactful, but it's been good for me. But my family, who also suffered through it, they haven't looked like they haven't looked at it like how I have. They just try to ignore it and block it out. But the hardest thing is I have two daughters. I have my oldest daughter is 23 and my youngest is 21. And
Mhm.
my 21-year-old daughter, who went through that with me when she was 14.
Oh my God, that could be traumatic also for her. So
It's
that's a
so
good thing
it,
talking
it's
about
it's
that.
it's so traumatic because we don't have the relationship that we used to, right?
Yeah,
And ever since that day, I was like her superhero, or like her Superman. And then, her most trauma and PTSD is me. So when she thinks about something that's traumatic, she sees me duct taped with guns to her head. Right. Right. So that's very hard for her. So I'm just, dealing with it. Obviously, like I miss her because we don't, speak as much. And I'm just, being as patient as possible. And I know that this is a temporary thing, but I do understand that that's where it's coming from because before then, she was always around me. We were always together. And then that happened and we're not, you know? So that's the hardest thing from the home invasion.
I can tell completely. Like just
Yeah.
except for you also and for her. So it's a good thing sharing that because so many people have traumatic a traumatic situation, or it could be on that level.
Hmm.
And some people, they don't know how to go through it, and they still like dying more inside, because people can say we can have empathy for something, but when we don't live it, it's not the same. We can say, oh my god, poor you, but it's not the same than living it or being there to see your dad with that situation. So I can imagine. So that's a good thing, sharing that experience. Every
Yes,
experience
ma'am.
is important to share, because we can help other people on that.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
Exactly. Exactly. And now we go into the Rihanna in 2015. Now she's a pop star. I know she don't do music that much. And do you know why she will not do music? Is it a situation happened to her, or she just don't want to do music?
So when I started on the Rihanna project, it was actually in 2005, and that was like 20 years ago. She was just starting. The two
Oh,
the 2015 is when the Becoming Beyonce book came out, and the Becoming Beyonce book was a bestseller, and it talked about like my marketing and publicity stunts for Pon de Replay.
yes.
And so that's what brought that, to attention. So a lot of people say that, it's 2015, but it was actually like 2005. I wrote like her first press release, like
Oh, so it was a long time. You was
yeah,
with the Riri before the Riri, like the real Riri.
yeah, but it was, it was amazing because I knew right then that she was a star, that she had the it factor. But as far as her, not releasing music, um, that's just such it's a very stressful world. Like a lot of people don't, realize that, right? So like to the consumer and to the fans, it's just like, she's not releasing music, but she has to give a lot of her time away to do the correct promotion, touring. She's gonna take away from her family, she's gonna take away from her husband. And right now she's involved in so many other businesses
Yes.
that where she's able to stay with her family and be a mother first. And so that's what she's choosing right now. She's choosing to be a mom and a wife and a family. And she's a billionaire, so she doesn't need to make any music. She doesn't need to make any more money. She's got plenty, right?
Yes,
So,
definitely.
and she's given so much of herself since she was 17 years old to music. So now I just think it's her time to focus on her family, which I think
Definitely think.
which I think is beautiful.
Yes, definitely. Because I think as an artist, now she was on the top. We still have her music, but she was giving like so many albums. And I think you working with her directly, so you know how it was. So what will be the tip you give her? And now when you think about that, you say it could serve people, all people.
Right. So she was like the shy type, and you can tell that now. She wasn't like the real over the top, like look at me, or just like kind of what we were talking about earlier.
Ah,
It just happened, she's like that. She was like that woman, who'd be in the corner of the room not saying anything and just being quiet and being, observing. And I know when she first started, when Pon de Replay broke, she was she wasn't quite ready, right? She hadn't really performed that much. She's 17, 18 years old. Who could be ready for that
yeah.
kind of thing? But she handled it, and then she worked so hard, and she became, one of the best-selling artists of all time. Like
De-
she's gonna go down in history as she's like at the top. Like she's her, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, which I'm not a fan of, but those are major artists, right? So
yes.
and they'll stand the test of time. Like Rihanna will be around for hundreds of years.
Yes, the music is still there. That's a good thing also. And I know with probably you was working with her media because he was a publicist. And we didn't see nothing really negative on her, except the thing when people was imprisoning, she was a mistress of Jay-Z. But instead of that, we didn't see like nothing against her, like or come to her. If I'm right,
Correct.
we didn't see nothing like coming to her, like no bad behavior. You know, sometimes they say the artist could be diva, but we didn't see that on her. Is that true?
Yeah,
Is that
she's very yeah, like she's relatable. You know, she's not that like Beyonce, which obviously I'm a fan of as well, but like Beyonce has that like royal, like you can't even, get to her type of thing. Like you got to treat her like the queen when she walks in the room. Not because she says that, just because that's just, she's like a royal. Whereas Rihanna is more, real, more the streets, like the struggle. Like it's a totally, Beyonce grew up with her father pushing her for Destiny's Child and having her work so hard. So it's like a completely, different thing. So I think they're two different sides. Whereas Rihanna walks in a room, she's gonna talk to everybody, she's gonna dress down, she's gonna probably like blend in. You're not gonna realize it's her. And then it's like, oh whoa, there's Rihanna. When Beyonce comes in, it's gonna be like the president of the United States walked in the door, or the vice president. It's wild. She's like, when you see her, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's bigger than life. Rihanna doesn't move like that. You
Yes,
know,
this is the thing people notice, and I think now with the time, I don't know. Back then, people love the royalty effect of Beyonce, but now, right now, people love the down to earth Rihanna, like the girl who can she recognize people, she can hug people, she give the down to earth girl like could be your friend, even if you
correct.
don't know her. And I think people we want to see real on those people.
Agree. Agree. Whereas Beyonce is just like, I don't know. You'd feel a certain way like being around her. Like I can't really describe it, but I think Rihanna is more relatable, right?
Yeah.
To to the people. But obviously both extraordinary talents.
Definitely. That's the thing we can agree. And about Jay-Z, because Jay-Z is the husband of Beyonce, so and now I think he's married his wife now, but he was also the one managing a bit Rihanna. And how you think of him there? Do you think he was toxic, or he was a good pass? He was really a good dude the way he looked.
I would say definitely toxic. Because Jay-Z is a competitor. He wants to win, he wants to be successful. He'll do whatever it takes, and he's about, being famous, being at the top of the food chain. Like he's about the power, and he goes for it, like but he's definitely an interesting person. So just like a lot of like his music, like coming up before 444 and before like he had children, he was a very much like gangster rapper, you know, glorifying murders, shootings, um, violence against women. Like it wasn't good content. People would be like, "Oh, that's just music, though. That's just art." But
Mhm.
it wasn't. You look at his body of work, and it's talk about darkness. It's very dark. It's very violent. So, and then when he came out with 444, when his children were growing up, you saw the change. Then he's like the older guy, educating the rappers and everything else. And he's another one. He hasn't put out an album in a long time as well. So I think these artists now are putting their creative expression in other fields and areas, right? Than just music.
Yes, I think he doing a lot of business, but I know some people was exposing him. Like I know one of them. I'm very sure you. I don't know if he was working with him. at some point Kanye West was exposed, but he exposed so many people. So I don't know if it was true with Jay-Z or he was just mad at Jay-Z at some point. Do you think?
I love Kanye West. Like I love everything that he does. Like even when he was like canceled like 2 years ago,
Yes.
it I think he was like misunderstood the way that he would like say things, right? It would come out wrong.
Yes, exactly.
But I think his heart was there, right? His heart, he has a good heart. I think he's like he kind of has that Tupac thing where the conflict, like it's like, he can do a Christian album, a real religious album, and then he can come out and do something that's not religious at all. And people are like, what is this? Whereas like Tupac would do the same thing. Tupac would release music that was very positive and uplifting, but then he would come out with like the most violent material, right? So it's that conflict, it's that conflict of man. And I think Kanye West, does that too. But I love Kanye West. I love everything. I love everything about him. Huge supporter of Kanye West. Worked for his label, Good Music, and it was wonderful. I love I love his Yeezys. Like my favorite shoes are Yeezys. They're the most comfort.
Yes.
Yeah, like my kids would be like, "Those shoes are so ugly." It's like, whatever. These shoes are amazing. They're just so comfortable. I used to also think they were kind of ugly, and then I put them on. I was like, "Yo, these are it." I love Yeezys.
Yes, I think yes. In the fashion world, it came to bring an impact also there because I think I was listening to him when he said that he want to change the code and make it comfortable in his way, not on our way to see things beautiful. So yes, Kanye West is something. So and I know now he was working with Jay Z. He led Jay Z as we know, and he tell his truth. People don't like truth. I say sometimes when people don't like something because they don't like the truth. And what you think also, because that's another topic on this year. That's why this year I call it the exposing year. 2004 is the exposing year.
Hmm.
And about Diddy, we have to go with Diddy. And you know Diddy, what happened to him this year. And we know Diddy is close with Jay-Z. Do you think they are that close or is not that close? I
I
would.
think I think they're definitely that close. And you can like go back and you can like look at pictures to see how close they've been since the late 90s. Like their career started like around the same time. And Jay-Z's biggest artist was the Notorious Big. I mean, Diddy's biggest artist for Bad Boy was the Notorious Big, Biggie Smalls
Yes.
from Brooklyn, and Jay-Z from Brooklyn. So Jay-Z and Biggie Smalls would they were really, really close. And that's how Diddy and Jay-Z got really close. But yeah, they've been, pictured together. They've worked together. They're business partners on several ventures. They've made a lot of money together, right? So the thing with Diddy and Jay-Z is extremely weird, right? So, but I think the thing that Jay-Z did is like once he had his children, like he changed. Like we've seen him change.
Yes.
But we've seen Diddy, he would always do the parties and his freak offs and, just dating a bunch of different women where Jay-Z has been with Beyonce now for a long time, right? And
Yes.
so she's I think she's got him on his best behavior. I think for a while he was doing like a lot of wild stuff, but whereas I think Jay-Z probably grew up and matured, Diddy didn't. As we can see, he's under investigation for human trafficking and all those other things. But it is strange. I was saying this on another interview. Like Jay-Z, he's business partners with Diddy. He's business partners with R. Kelly, and he's business partners with Harvey Weinstein. And that's hard to look past.
That's also the thing. So because also there are another artist, I'm sure you know this one. He's a bit a troublemaker for some people, but he love exposing stuff. It's 50 Cent. And I
Yes.
think 50 Cent say the next people who should be down, it's Jay-Z, because say after they did, Jay-Z is worse than him. This is what 50 Cent say on his word. Do you think he's right to say that, or you?
That's what everybody says. But I think it would be worse because of the Beyonce factor, who his wife is, right? So it's going to come down. It's going to come down even harder, you know. But when I was working, I was when I was working with Rihanna, and the rumor had came out, you know, that there was a love triangle between Rihanna, Beyonce, and Jay-Z. It was like 6 months later when I thought like everything was over. I did get uh, I did get questioned and interrogated by, you know, some federal agents from the FBI, and um, it was the FBI and um, Homeland Security, and they were investigating Jay Z. And a lot of people have been shocked when they found out that information because I've put that out there, but it wasn't really shocking at all because there used to be hip hop task force, right, set up for these big rappers. So you had this guy Jay Z, you know, 20 years ago, who's a gangster rapper, who had been arrested for stabbing somebody, who had gotten to an altercation with R. Kelly, and was glorifying this gangster rap persona. And then there was, you know, rumors of him being with underage women, that he was taking, you know, like Rihanna, you know, being from Barbados and bringing her across country, and, you know, bringing her to the United States, taking her to Florida, taking her to LA, taking her to New York. Like that's where it becomes federal. So when I spoke to him, I was like shocked, obviously. I was like, "Oh my gosh," I was freaking out. But and a lot of people are like, "I can't believe that happened. That's crazy." But what would be crazy if it didn't happen, if they weren't doing their job and investigating, you know, claims that people were making. So I think that's all that it was.
Okay, it was more claim investigation, and also we have like, because I think Jay-Z is start before Rihanna. He start with Foxy Brown, if
Foxy
I'm not
Brown,
mistaken. And after, because Foxy Brown was literally telling, at some point she was telling she was forced to be with him when she was 15 years old,
correct.
and stuff like that. And after, and people, and some point she was talking, and after I think she gets some behind the scenes, she received some stuff because she stopped talking about that no more. And we have also Aliyah, the factor of Aliyah, the way, not, I think they try to open, her family to want to open, I don't know if you know about that, her family want to open back a case because there's so many stuff coming back. Do you think it's still it could be related, because seem like Didi say if he fail, he want other people around him to fail. Do you think Didi can know something? Because we see photo when he was with Aliyah, some photo he was, with Foxy Brown and everything like that. Do you think that?
Correct. Yes, I think like, you know, Diddy could obviously bring down Jay-Z, and he knows, you know, the words, like he knows where the bodies are buried, right? He knows where he definitely knows he has a lot of dirt on Jay-Z more than anybody. So if he has to, you know, do a plea deal, and he has to, you know, give up information, then I wouldn't be surprised at all, right? But I think it's all very wicked, right? And especially when you get to that top, it's all like, you know, like we were talking about, very dark. And that's why I got away from it for a few years, because I was just like, this is too crazy, right? And Jaguar, right? We did this interview that's went viral, and in my home invasion, you know, she told me, she said she believed that Drake was responsible, right? And because I was working with Drake at the time that it happened, and his baby mama drama, right? And so when Jaguar pointed that out, at first I was like, no, I don't think so, because three people have went to prison, right? But there's always been this underlining justice that we haven't got. And it's like, how come, we have these issues with law enforcement, like in my case. And in my case, there was somebody that we felt was responsible. But anyways, there's been all these roadblocks and there's been all these issues that could only come from a high end. And I've told friends like over the years, I've like, I don't know what I'm up against. I don't know what I'm battling, but I'm battling like a strong force. And I'd always feel like it was like the devil or something, right? Because it was, even though three people, as I said, went to jail, we didn't get justice all the way. So then when she said that, I was like, wow, because Drake's lawyer is huge. He's worth $500 million. He's got unlimited resources. Everybody loved, Drake, and this is, and obviously 2017, he's the biggest artist in the world. So he has contacts, right? And I don't know if he intentionally, went out, and set something like that up, but when she said that, it kind of like, it gave me some closure a little bit, because it was like, this has been very weird, right? Like this whole thing. So I don't know. So as there's a documentary being made about it that's coming out soon, and it takes a real deep dive into it. So I'm curious to see what happens.
But when now you say it was when he was working with Drake, because he
Mhm.
have like he looked like a good guy in front of the people, but he have this reputation. It's not the first time we heard stuff he planning stuff against other people. Like, I don't know if you remember I know you remember the actor. Not I don't know the actor XX Temptations,
Of course.
this one, but many people say he was the one setting it up. So stuff like that. And it came when you say Drake, I'm not surprised, like, oh my God, he's a good guy, because we sometimes the good guy, they could be the villain in the story. And he have that reputation. I think yes, he really have it. I will not be surprised. Some stuff could come from him, but I will not be surprised.
Well, X said himself that he was worried about Drake. And then if something happened to him, it was because of Drake. Like X said those things explicitly, right? And that's kind of like involving like my case. So like the people that gunned down X in Florida, they all went to prison. They're all in jail. So it's like, okay, how could that be Drake? And how come nobody said anything to Drake? How come nobody snitched on Drake? How come nobody, da 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 da? And that's what I'm talking about. There's these powers that play that we don't see,
Mhm.
that are very real and very scary. And so like when I got out of it before, because I kept running into roadblocks. But now with the media and the power in social media and the power within the people, you can't be blocked by, this one person, their entity, right? So I like where we're at right now as a culture and where it's going as we're evolving. The power is within us. Because before there only used to be a few channels, there only used to be a few radio stations. Now everybody has their own channel. Everybody can be a journalist and everybody can report stuff. It's like things can't get hidden anymore like they used to. And just like you said, 2024 is a year of exposure. And everybody credits that to Cat Williams when he did that interview earlier this year.
Yes, he started well. He started the year so well, and everything he said came true, because he said this year something happened to Diddy, and I was like, it's happened. He knew it.
Yes, it is happening, and I think we're gonna see. I think it's got to get a lot worse before it gets better. We got to weed out these evil spirits and these dark forces before it gets better. You know?
Definitely. And you say right thing, because on those time now, we don't have only one channel on one media and one major media to give the stuff. Everybody can report. And now with the social media, people can film, people can do everything. And I
Yes.
know, you tell me, you mentioned me, Jagger Wright, and she's the one I know. She was in the industry, because she reported a lot of stuff, and I know some in the beginning people was like, is she just telling stuff? And all the stuff she said makes sense, and now people like, there's something. She exposing people. She knew it. She was there. It's like, yes.
She was there. Like that is the thing. It's like she was in Philadelphia, with the Roots, and she was, involved in Jay-Z, and she was involved in Def Jam, and she was involved in all those places. She was in those circles. So she does know. And she's like, Jaguar has been real impressive to me because she's Jaguar, right? When the camera's rolling or when it's not rolling. She's a freedom fighter. Like she is, she's really out there. She's like an advocate. She's like Malcolm X, she will go out there and she will expose and she will bring truth and she will fight. And like I commend her, for everything that she's trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not easy, the things she do right now, but I think it's necessarily because she say to people she don't care no more about to not being invited in those circles because she's just there to exposing and let people know what we're looking at, what we see, and what is real. And I think yes, we need that. And she defending people when she do that because many people they did stuff to them and nobody was trusting them. Like I think about Casey with the case of Diddy.
Yes.
And first, we at some point it was like when she accepted the deal, the money deal. I don't know if you have an opinion about that. And when she accepted the deal, people was okay. She do that for the money. But after when we saw the video was released, I don't know if it came from her or from people who exposing the on the hotel. Suddenly they exposing the video on the hotel, and I was like, okay, people are just setting up Didi. They make him pay her first, and after they exposing the thing.
Correct. And when you go against somebody with Diddy, a billionaire, with that much money, with that much resources, with that much fame, with that much contacts, like his lawyers are elite, like you have to have all your ducks in a row. Because in America with our law enforcement system, you know, it's you have to get the case, you have to get the detectives, and then the detectives, they go to their superiors, and then those superiors go to the prosecutor, and then the prosecutor goes to the grand jury. And so you have to have all these things fall into place before you can, officially indict someone. And so when you indict somebody, then it's like game on. So like a lot of people are saying, why is it taking so long since they did the raids? But they have to be 100%, bulletproof in their case, in their findings, so it doesn't get thrown out, right? And also, there are other crimes going on in the world than just Diddy. So these people in the FBI and the Homeland Security and law enforcement that's investigating Diddy, they also have to look at other crimes that are happening as well. But for
Mm.
sure, for sure, Diddy will be indicted. There's no question. And then I think after him, I think Jay-Z will be the next that they at least try. You know,
Pretty
because I think they'll figure out like what worked with Diddy, what didn't work for Diddy before they go after somebody like Jay-Z.
okay, but that's also thing I think. Like the first people who get caught is the weakness, and now they come in more to the people who have more power. This is the like for Jeffrey Epstein, and the thing he did was wrong totally, but he had bigger people with the way he died on the he dead the way he don't survive on the cell. I'm like, there's something there. He say he want to expose name and he died at the same time. We found him not really. So I was like, I don't know if you see something about that too, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, yeah, of course. It's all very, very strange. That was another thing that was weird. It's just all very, very corrupt and very, very like sexualized and just weird. Like we were talking at the beginning of this about the dark forces. It runs rampant, right? In the music industry and entertainment. So, but here's the thing. So I like I told you, I quit for 3 years. Not quit, but retired, got away from it. Still like in tune. I would still do like projects. I would still work with big clients, but not going at it. But now I'm back and I'm going at it. And I'm gonna help hopefully get some justice for people that have been wronged, or hurt. So, but I'm here. I'm back in my PR bag, and I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever comes. I'm not scared of it.
You don't have to be scared when you have the truth. And do you have some name you're working out with, or you cannot release them too?
What's that?
Do you have some name you're working out with?
So right now I'm doing like a bunch of different like strategy, and
Mm.
since I came out and spoke out, like everybody's like hitting me up, wanting me to work because, like I told you, I haven't been doing it. So like now that they see like I'm available and working, I've been contacted by a lot of people to do stuff. But right now I'm focused on just trying to help get justice, trying to help expose, and I don't want to, come off as an opportunist, by exposing, things like that for myself, right? And that's one thing going back to Jaguar Wright that was so amazing is she has all these big platforms and hundreds of thousands of people are seeing her. And she's not trying to sing, trying to release albums, which she could. She's more into the advocacy and more into, trying to change the culture and get justice for people, right? So that's what I'm about too. But that being said, I am releasing a book at some point. It's finished and it has like all these different things that I've been through and stuff. But that's going to happen at some point really soon, within the next month or two. But I don't want to be out there like talking about these things and then also like, hey, buy my book, so that's why I'm not really like I don't have any like, even though it's finished and I could have it available for like pre-order and for sale, I don't right now because I don't want to come across that I'm doing all this to try to sell a book because that's not my agenda at all.
Yes, but you're totally right to do it, because if not, people will say, okay, you decide to expose it right now because of you want to sell something. So I know,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
So
definitely. And also, what is the biggest challenge on that? Like, because coming to the truth will like make people mad, because some people they really fans. I call them like the real fan, hardcore fan, and they don't like when people talking bad about the people they like. What is the big challenge like when they decide to say, okay, I'm coming to exposing and doing the truth? Because what the challenge on that?
I've dealt with that like big time in 2015 from the Beehive, like when the Beyonce book dropped and everybody was talking about the rumors and all that. Like I spoke about it then, and they like came for me. They like came for like my family. They came for like everybody, but it wasn't. It was all like internet stuff, like but very like resourceful. Like the information that people could get, the fact that they could like reach my family and reach the schools that they were at was weird. But I never really caved into the pressure.
Mhm.
I was raised in Louisville, Kentucky, home of Muhammad Ali, right? So I'm a fighter. So, you know,
Yes,
I'm
that's a
a-
good spirit to have. So you don't really that scared, because some people will be like, why you do that? Why you want to? Because some people doesn't like the truth, or doesn't want the truth disturb them, their thing, their belief. They doesn't like it.
correct. And it's not like I went out there intentionally to expose people. It's just this has just been happening, right? Like I did this interview like 6 weeks ago with all hip hop that went viral, and then I did another one and another one. All this is very organic. I'm not out seeking it and chasing it. It's just coming to me. So I know that I'm doing the right thing, and I know that I'm being, led by a good spirit and a positive energy, and the universe is speaking and providing these opportunities. So I'm just gonna keep doing it.
Yes, that's the good thing to go to your spirit, to trust your guardian. And yes, that's really the good thing to do. And also, what will be now on the artist right now, because now you come back to the PR game.
Yeah.
When you look the artists of now, which one you'll be like, I don't know if I would want to work with that person, or if I work with that person, I will have to change a lot of narrative on them. Do you have some artists you look at them and you could say, I will have to work a lot more with the narrative because it's a bit messy.
No, I haven't really paid attention to like any of that stuff, right? Um, like I was just listening to jazz music and house music for like 3 years, and I was like, doing psychedelic mushrooms and healing and just like on some real spiritual journey. I didn't pay attention to anything. Like I just completely like got off the grid, and I was focused on my relationship, right?
Yes.
And which was amazing, being in New York, with her and learning about her culture, like Christmas. Christmas for the last year with her was, I was the only English speaking in her family, right? They're all Dominican and Spanish, and no one speaks English. So I'd have to translate on my phone. I'd have to like show my phone messages like on Christmas and Thanksgiving, and it was really really cool. But even though we couldn't communicate like freely, but you can communicate through the love and the vibration, and it was wonderful, you know. And so that's what I was really focused on. Yeah, But now it's like, okay, I got my job to do. I feel like I've been sharpening my sword for the last 2.5 years, and now I'm coming out, and I'm dangerous, and I'm just as messy, and I will tear shit up, right? So that's where I'm at.
Yes, but totally agree with you on all of that. And yes, you have the time just to take all your energy back to be able to fight because it's a big battle you have to do. But I'm sure you're ready to do it because you're really available to talk about your truth. You don't hesitate to say, hey, yes, I will share my things. I have stuff and you have stuff to share. And also on this, so now you just came to the business to share the thing. And did you have like because as a PR, I'm sure you have a list of what you expect to do in the few months, on few years. Do you have a list on that? Just
Yeah, like a plan, definitely.
Mhm.
I'm definitely very strategic, but in this situation that I'm doing now, I'm leaving it open, right? To the universe. Like I told you, I'm not trying to force anything because I can get carried away. Like I can get obsessed, I can go crazy, you know. This athlete that I really look up to, he said, to be successful, you got to be obsessed, with it. You've got to work, you got to put everything into it. And so that's like in my relationships, before this one, I was always working so much, right? Because when I'm working, it's all or nothing, right? And that's like everything from day to night until I go to sleep. And so a woman, you can't really pay attention to her as much as you can. But my whole thing was like, yo, I'm providing this lifestyle, I'm doing this for us, blah, 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 blah. But she needs attention, right?
Yes.
So, and everything was focused on work. That's why it's like I've never been married, because I've just been, that committed to my work. Like that's what I'm married to, you know. So that's what I love. So I love doing this stuff. I love where I'm at. I don't know where it's gonna be a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, but whatever it is, it'll be something. It'll be something really cool. No,
Definitely. And I love the spirit you have there because yes, and also when you tell me about your holiday with your girlfriend, your wife or your girlfriend, probably next your wife, I'm sure you will go to that soon. And when they didn't speak English, more Spanish. And that's the thing about long communication, human communication. We don't need to go to speak a language to understand the language. That's the thing.
for
Also,
sure, for sure. Like I was brought up around, my mother. She taught like blind students at Kentucky School for the Blind, right? And so I would go to her school and I would see all these blind children, and they were, and you would see like husbands and wives who are blind. They've never seen their husbands or wives ever, right? But they can feel and the love, so it's very strange. Like when you think about like Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder, the
yeah,
blind musicians, like in the 60s, like during segregation, when it was really weird with no cell phones, they would just get on buses blind, and just what they were able to achieve by not being able to see. There's no excuse for people out there, right, who says that they can't do it, or this is stacked up against them or whatever. Because when you look at Ray Charles and what he went through blind, is, I mean, he couldn't even tell what, when you were paying him money, he couldn't feel the difference between $100 bill and a $20 bill.
that's for real.
Right? Like when he went into stores to like buy stuff. So it's like fascinating. So being around like a lot of blind students and blind people from, my mother's teaching, it's taught me, a lot about that, like the energy and stuff. And yeah, like we couldn't speak to each other. I couldn't speak to her family, because I'm not fluent in Spanish at all, like not even close, not even a little bit. But we could still communicate, through our soul and through our energy and stuff, right? So,
Energy
and I
tell.
loved her mom. Like her mom could never speak, any English. So it's so funny how we communicate, because I would constantly like give her my phone, and she would read my phone, and then she would say something, and it was a lot of fun.
Yes, I totally can tell because it's all go with the energy. People sometimes they forget the energy is stronger sometimes than it's stronger than anything else. Definitely.
For sure. But listen, the me like being all in love and like that's all fun now, but I'm back here like in the game. Like here's the fighter, here I am, and like I told you, I'm gonna make a bunch of noise, I'm gonna ruffle a bunch of feathers and cause a lot of problems. I don't know when you're gonna release this interview, but next week we're bringing out like round two. We're coming at it again with some very big, very very big strategic, media. So it's gonna get really really interesting. You know,
Definitely, we're gonna keep in touch with that to see all the thing because when it came through, you already came with stuff. People was like, "Oh, what he exposing thing," and we want to see more because we in the year everything gonna be exposed. It's the year to exposing stuff, and people will is no more keeping thing hiding.
correct. And it's like it's only September, so we've got this month, we've got October, we've got November and December. So hopefully, like all the people who are freedom fighters and who are down for the cause can, like, let's close the year strong. Like we've made a lot of footwork. We're definitely, like um taking down monsters and taking down some powerful people. But if 2024 is the year, we still got a lot of year left. There's still a lot of time on the clock to make a difference, and to cause change, and to push the evil out.
Yes, it's a big fight, but we have the fighter. We have to do it. we cannot keep silence and see the thing, the devil win. Because I know
Yeah,
you're spiritual, so the devil is there. We have like the good, the bad, and both of them. So we have now to fight.
right. And they say if you're silent, you're complicit, right?
Exactly.
So like if you're not speaking out and you know something, you can. But and that's one thing that I will say. Like I didn't speak out for so long, and like I told you, why I took a break for a few years is because there was those powers to be, there was those invisible forces, there was those resources where you couldn't come out and speak out, because you couldn't get it out there. But with the pandemic was such a global shift and changed the world. Whereas now, people are able to speak out like what you're doing, with your podcast and what other people are doing. They're able to come out and not being controlled by the massive by the mass media or the mass, what they would call like the Illuminati, but it's just really a group of powerful people, right? We
Definitely.
can be our own. We've all got our telephones, and
That's the thing. Exactly.
we've all got our we all got our telephones. We all walk around with our telephones, and we can communicate to the world through our telephones, just like we're doing right now. With me being in the United States and you being where you're at, and we're just gonna keep pushing. So
That's it, the important on that, because I think the pandemic they give us the power to do it, because was all they put us all in hostage at home, and we heard the media. Sometimes we heard stuff and say, okay, let me say what happened to the world, let me share my thing. And people
right,
now start doing live more and more stuff. People open to talk podcasts, and it came so strong. Now everybody, we can find the truth everywhere. We just have now to look where we want to look at, and we can. That's a good thing.
agree, agree. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
love your hair. I'm jealous of your hair.
Thank you. Yes, you can braid your hair. You never try brushing your hair?
It just doesn't look right. And it doesn't stay, right? It's just like,
Yes, it's a texture. The
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. I've tried it, and it doesn't look right. But look, that's why I didn't want to do the camera thing, because my hair is like all jacked up. But I'm getting it done. I'm getting it done tonight. And so I
Oh,
can come out and do some stuff, because I've watched some of my past interviews, like that have been big, and I'm just like raw and uncut, and just like whatever, you know. But now it's like, all right, let me get focused here. Let me do my hair, and let me get on my bad bitch shit, and let me come out here and do this stuff,
totally.
you
But
know?
I totally respect that. So that's why I don't say, no, you still have to make the camera. No, because some people, if you don't feel right, you will look like after you go to look at the video, like, oh my God, oh, I look
I
like that.
haven't I haven't watched any of them, because everybody's like, my Instagram has been like blowing up from all these people, and they're like, I'm like, I haven't seen it. I won't watch it. I never will. Like, I can't, you know. Like, as soon as I try to, as soon as I start talking, I turn it off. I can't hear it.
But that's the thing. Sometimes we don't like watching ourselves or heard ourselves. We only heard our voice, we're like, but, totally understand. But it was very cool, like to be able, like, to have a chatting like that with you, and you didn't say, "Oh my God," but she doesn't have a big platform. Why you just say yes, let's go? And it's really, I really appreciate that. You mean like you really, like you came with a pure heart, like you say, I have my truth to say, and I will go organically with people who came, and that's really interesting.
Right. No, no, I appreciate that. Like,
Definitely.
I appreciate it. So I'm down for, whatever. I'm sorry it's taken me a while, to do this. It's just everything has been a little bit crazy.
Yeah, because of the schedule, but everything happened for a reason. Like sometimes we could have some push, but we cannot. Back then, I used to be the kind who would be really impatient about life, say why it doesn't happen the way I want. But now I know it's not happening the way you want. It's happened the way it's supposed to happen.
Exactly.
So
You're,
that's really the way. So I'm not gonna keep you that long. We already keep been there for 1 hour and something. So I don't. And it really was a pleasure with me talking with you, chatting like that. I see it was really like, I hope you like it, but it was really a chatting time just to understand you, and you say a lot of things about yourself. And now you tell people you back on the business, and you don't care about, it's not something about generation or age, it's about what you know, and what you know could be served and have to be served. And you can oh yes, I have the last question before finishing. Do
no
you,
problem.
yes, do you planning to do master class? Because now you know they could do class or teaching people, or just share your value on about it, to be a PR or promote self. Do you planning to do stuff like that in the
It's
future?
fun. It's funny. Is like I was doing some of that. I was like speaking in universities, and I would go speak to the students, and I love that. I love to speak. I love to talk to the PR kids, right? Because I got really successful doing publicity, and I didn't finish school, right? And I didn't have the proper education. Like my sister, she's a teacher. She's got like her doctor's degree in education. My brother, a teacher. My mother, a teacher. My stepfather, teachers. They're all teachers. So they're all education, school. So like when I quit school, obviously they weren't happy about it. But I
Mhm.
believed in what I was doing, and I saw like what I was supposed to do. And so I go back and speak to these students too. It's just like it's kind of a trap, you know, because you see all these students go spending all this money, and they get so in debt, and they get, you know, so they're starting their life in just debt that they owe to school and student loans. If they didn't come from a background, you know, where their family could afford to pay for them, right? But you don't need that. You don't need that for PR. You know, you don't need that for publicity. All you need is your phone and Google and YouTube tutorials, and you need to learn the strategy, and you need to learn pop culture, but you don't need the to for schooling for that. So when I go into school and I talk that, the teacher's always like, "What is he doing?" You know,
It's your
but
business.
yeah, but that's what I tell them, because you know there will be somebody who leaves. There will be somebody who walks away. There is somebody who can't afford it. There are parents who can't afford education, and they're like doing everything they can to send their child to school. But and you know in 2024 now with technology, you know you don't need that. Yeah, obviously it's great, but you know you don't need it to succeed. You know, and I would always tell the students too. I was like, I would rather have a hit business plan than a hit song any day of the week, because I can do more with the business plan than I can with the song, right? So if you have like a real strategy, you know, it's strategy can go so far, you know, because I'll tell you this, this is the last thing, is in 2005 when we did Rihanna's project. Guess what my publicity budget was?
um when she start, I don't know, probably the 5K, something like that.
$200.
200.
It was $200. They're like, this is all we can afford. The producers were, but I heard the song and I saw her and I knew, and I was like, I can do something with this. There was no money. Now, obviously, 200 in 2005, I don't know what that would be in today's world, but it wasn't about the money. It was about strategy. And strategy is free. It's like you can pay all this money for all this marketing. You can pay all this money for all this advertising, but you can also pay nothing. And if your strategy's right, if your clickbait is right, then you can really make something happen, and you can really impact to get people's attention who can put up the money. That's why you think about, you know, as much as I don't like Jay-Z, he did come from the projects. He came from
Yeah.
Marcy's projects. So, and he turned it into, you know, he's a billionaire two times over, almost three,
Mm.
right? Like you can make it, just don't let don't let them grind you down. It's you can it's easier now than it was a while back. Cause like I said, when I was coming up, like if I was promoting a project, right, I would have to promote it, and then they would have to go to the store, Best Buy, Walmart, Target, and then they would have to wait in line to buy the CD, to buy the music, and then they'd have to, you'd have to have all these things that you had to stay in their mind. Well, now it's impulse. And now if you're promoting something, it's immediate. Boom, right there. The product is right there. The sales are right there. The link is right there. That you can buy stuff. So it's the direct to consumer is amazing right now. So that's I love where we're at. Like the whole industry is like, no AI, no this, no, like I miss the old days. It's like I don't miss the old days at all. I like where we're at now, you know?
Yes, about the communication, it changes. It make us go fast and quick doing stuff. Like we have to see the thing, but
We've
definitely,
evolved. We've evolved. This is a process of evolution.
and I like in that too.
Me too.
Yes, we can see because I'm a vision. I'm a visionary. I love see um what else in the box, and that's a good thing. And also, you really shocked me about the $200. And yes, it's not about the money you invest; it's the plan, the way you plan the stuff. And this is the tip I always say. I didn't do marketing as I said before, but I always have a notebook, and that's the best way. You always have to have a notebook and write down and
Agree.
go.
You have to. You have to. I'm always writing stuff down. Like I have a dry erase board that I like to write stuff down because I hate to type stuff on my phone. And I do that because then I don't know where it is. I've got to see it. I'm a very visual person. I need to see it written down, you
So
know?
we have
So,
that in common. I'm visual too. Like I love when I talk, I always see, okay, this. I love to see where I'm
right,
going.
right.
Definitely. So I think yes, and that's why I was always thinking. For some reason, I love the marketing way, giving advice. Sometimes I see some people, and when I look at the situation could happen in some the personality, I always think what the PR will do. If I will be the PR, I will do it like that, like that. And most of the time, I'm like, I'm pretty good on this.
Right. For sure. For
Yes.
sure.
But also, I think in the future, definitely I can invite you again, but to talk more about marketing, to give tips like you did also in the school. But sometimes in the school, giving them the tip, you don't need the school. The teacher would not like it because it's their job. They're like, don't say that to them.
No, I
For
know.
the money, but
But I would go everywhere. Like I would also talk about the advantage of school. Obviously there is advantage of school, but I also know at the same time, like the pressure that I got from my family
yes.
to not quit school. Like if I would have stayed in school, I wouldn't have taken the opportunity that I did. And if I didn't take that opportunity, it wouldn't have led to this, that. And I think about that a lot. Like the alternate universe, like what would that be, right? If I didn't do that. And I wouldn't definitely be where I'm at today.
But that's the thing about life. We have to dare to be different. Like
Exactly.
even when we start something, people will not understand. Like when I decide to start my channel, people will be like, okay. And I know sometimes when you start something, you don't have the first support on your people because they will be dumb at you a bit like, what's she doing? But we just have to go. When we know we have to go do it, we just doing it. And we see other people came supporting us or just understand us is because it was meant to be.
For sure. And that's one of the things that I would tell the students too is like, don't listen to your friends and family.
Yeah.
Like that's almost like rule number one because they don't, they don't know, like, and they're trying to, they have their own agendas and motives. So it's like, if I listen to my friends and family, like I said, I don't, they would want me to be a teacher, which would be fine. But I'm glad the choices that I've made because I've been able to travel. everywhere. I've had a lot of success. I've been able to live out my dreams. So, I made it, right? So, and I made it from a small town
Mm,
in in Louisville, Kentucky.
yeah, totally can understand that because I remember it was in 2017. Before the pandemic. I did like pack my backpack and just go 3 years in Latin America without speaking Spanish that much. I don't speak Spanish either too, but I just did, and people was like, "What you doing? Like, it's not the mature say to just take your backpack and go other place, and could be." And people were saying it's dangerous place, like going Mexico by yourself, going other place, Brazil, all the America, Central America, and it was the best thing I did. Like, so dare to be different and just go by yourself. And
Right.
I see the energy of people. Nothing bad happened to me. Sometimes I see horror story. People say story time about traveling. They say, "Oh, this thing happened to me," and me, I'm like, "I don't have bad story. Everything good happened to me. Why?" But because I think
Yeah.
energy, the guide was with me. They just protected me so much, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Right. 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 For
But
sure.
definitely, and so that's why it could be really interesting to do like especially also for small owners, people would want to do small business, people who want to try small stuff in life, or they become an influencer on themselves or have platform and they need tips. It will be a good thing to have, like, to set it up on the next week or month, just a little life about giving them tips to trust themselves. Also, I think people who could have trauma, because in the beginning we talk about trauma a bit, and it could be a good thing to let them know dare to be different, and get out of your comfort zone. That's the best way, I think, to
For
learn.
sure. Yeah, for sure. You can't, you gotta face the trauma, you gotta deal with it. You gotta fight through it. Right. Because I was born in trauma. Like I was adopted. So I didn't meet like my parents until like I've still never met my father, my biological father. I met my
Um,
biological mom when I was in my 40s, right? But when I'm talking about my parents, I'm talking about my adopted parents because that's all that I know, right? Like is them. So like when I met my biological mom, I didn't feel anything, right? Like, and that's something that I wish I could go back and tell the younger version of me when I was like, like adopted and like in my class and all my friends had their parents and I didn't know like my biological parents. And I always wondered, and I was like, I grew up with like a lot of depression, like a lot of, doubt and a lot of rejection issues, right? From being adopted. But when I met my mom, it was so like my biological mom. When I met my mom, it was so disappointing because I expected this like huge like thing and like all the missing pieces of my life would have came together. I didn't I didn't feel anything. I just felt appreciation to my adopted family who raised me. And I know that sounds mean, but that's just honest. And she's passed away now. She passed away during the pandemic. I didn't really have a relationship with her, but that's something that I wish I could go back or tell adopted kids like DNA is so overrated, right? Because if my mother and my parents who raised me, if they never told me I was adopted, I would have never known because my sister has always felt like my sister, right? I would do anything for my sister. Same with my brother, right? And I always felt like this weird like wall and this disconnect and I didn't fit in and but so that's been something that I've processed over the years too, right? It's been a real weird like that's why I just quit everything for a while because it's like I met my biological mom for the first time. The home invasion happened. I had to break up with my ex-fiance of 9 years. Like all these things happened at once. And so I was just like, yo, I gotta check out I'm gonna just do jazz music. And I'm gonna
I
find my
understand. Like, wow.
I'm gonna find myself. Right.
But it's important at some point, like, because like you said before, you was like into your you wasn't married to your job, so you are so focused to your job, but you keep all the thing away. And at what
Right.
age your parents, because yes, the parents who raise you are your parents, at what age they tell you you was adult? Do you remember the year when they tell you that?
So I feel like I was probably like 11 or 12. And, it was my mom that told me. And like I said, I wish that she didn't because I would have never known. And it's weird. Like I look like my sister. Like I look like my brother. I look like my family. Like it's like I evolved like into them. But once she told me that, that's when like the rebellion set in, right? That's when like all the doubt set in. That's when all the anger set in. So almost obviously she had to tell me, but if we could go back, I wish that she wouldn't have, you know?
Yes, I totally understand, but I think also for other parents, they want to be transparent because they don't want the kid to learn in the by themselves and feel like reject. And I think it could be the battle of that, because my mom was doing foster, like she received people from the DPG protection. She received kids at home. She was doing foster. So I see many kids on broken house coming in my house so many times, for all my teenager years and all the time. And sometimes I feel I was in my house, but sometimes I feel like I wasn't there completely. It was their house. So I kind of understand also, but I understand your parents, your mom want to be true with you, but I understand the way like some true we're not ready to hear. But I don't know if we will be ready, because it will be like, so who's my mom? Why she do that? It will always gonna be that question.
Right. And here's something that I've never even like said like to anybody really, but like when I was growing up, the reason that I got into music is because I wanted to be able to get platforms where I was able to, to find my mom, right? Because my biological mom. So it's like if I got into the music business, and I were able to do something that where it would help me find her because like, it was a sealed adoption. I was born in Florida, so it was a sealed, so there's no way to like even get that information, right?
Um,
And so, it was very challenging, but it was weird. Like I said, it was like that was something that burdened me my whole life. And then once I met her, it was like so disappointing, And I feel bad saying that, but that's the truth because it was like, oh wow, I don't she had a connection to me and she was sad, but and she was like real emotional. But to me, I kept like looking around thinking, okay, when is this over? I want to get out of here, because she like lived in like a trailer park and it was weird. I'd like a fancy car and like I just felt like, yo, I want to get out of this as soon as possible. I couldn't feel anything about her at all, because DNA has no feeling, so
that's true.
it was a very strange thing. Like all relationships and everything take time and nurturing and developing and compromise and passion and work, everything, right? So I was done. So then there's my father, my biological dad. He wants to meet me and he's always contacting me. Hey, are we gonna meet? And I'm just like, I feel bad because I don't want to go through that again because that was tough, right? That was a lot to deal with. Because I met her in on Valentine's Day of 2017, February. In April 2017, I was duct taped and held in the home invasion. And, I was going through all that. So within 2 months, I went through both of those life changing events at the same time. And while I was duct taped, I was thinking, well, because I thought for sure I was gonna die. I was like, well, at least I did achieve what I always wanted to achieve, was to find and meet my biological mom.
Okay.
So
That's a big. Did she was the one who tried to reach you, or you was doing research to see if you can reach her?
I was doing research, and have you do you know who the group Run DMC is?
Yes.
Who's actually DMC? He's an advocate for adoptions, and he helped me get open up the sealed adoption. He helped me break through the doors to be able to find,
Oh.
her, and that goes back to why I wanted to get into the music business and why I wanted to do stuff with power, because it's the only way that I could break through those doors. So, and then I did like a 23andMe test and like did the DNA. So it was an amazing experience, and I was so happy. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, this isn't what I've been searching for my whole life, or what I thought.
Yes.
I've had it around me already the whole time. So,
But
and
I
that's,
think because you was curious to know who she
yeah,
was.
yeah, for sure. So it's like I didn't really like learn anything. But even saying all that, like that's what I'm saying. Like my family, who raised me, my adopted family, we're not really speaking right now, right? Because of that thing with the home invasion, because it changed me so much. And I left a small town, and I think they got, they're like very strong, like Christian. Like my family started this church in Louisville, Kentucky, called Southeast Christian Church. It was a mega church. So they have like a lot of that Christianity judgment, and like, so they would see me, I think, with like in an interracial relationship. I don't know if they love that, you know,
Oh, they're really religious. Hmm.
and then I was doing a project that was very LGBTQ friendly, and they didn't like that, I'm sure. Um, so they just saw me as like, somebody who was, changing, rapidly, and I wasn't the same, but I wasn't. They changed. I didn't. Nothing about me changed. I was just exploring, everything else. So, and my relationship with the Dominican woman has been way better than any relationship I've ever been in. Like she's held me down, and she was with me through all like the hard times where, the white girls that I was with, they were out, they were like, nah, so I've, it's been, I don't care. Like I'm just doing my own thing. So if they're not gonna get on board, then whatever. So
That's but that's the spirit to do. And sometimes when someone have to go get out of your life, it to bring other people. Like you had like many people get out of your life. First, you have to close the chapter with your biological mom. You did it.
right,
Now it's closed, like it's not a deception. It's like I think you just see her, since the little boy of you, because he was 11 years old, like you say, when you heard she was adopted. So you need the little boy of you need to meet her. And I think the why she wasn't able, I don't know what she was telling you, but I guess she wasn't able to reply to tell you why. I think the why, and that's why, or she say why, but probably you wasn't satisfied. You say, okay, and now
right.
it's close. Your relationship, your past relationship with the other girl with nine, you say 9 years with her, go through fade because of the home invasion, all the situation happened to you, but you have to be close to let go another thing now, and you ready to
For sure, for
that.
sure.
That's the way I saw life. I always like to see, okay, everything happened for a reason, and what was the reason? Sometimes we know it after, like 11 years till 40 years to see that woman is like a lot of time thinking. All the time I think it will be stressful for you, like thinking who she is, why she did that. Is it okay? And I know, I understand it could be stressful.
Right. Because, she gave birth to me when, she was 17. right? And that was in the 70s when the world was, way different. So when, you have a 17-year-old high school, she was in high school, right? When you have a 17-year-old pregnant in high school, you know, um, that would have been really strange, especially in the South, where it was really different. And so I'm appreciative of her at the same time, right? I'm appreciative of that because she could have committed abortion or something. She could have done all that, but I also feel like I'm the one that found her. I feel like she could have tried to pursue me, right?
Yeah.
So, but like I said, like when she passed away, like 3 years ago, I sort of let like all that go, let go of like all that energy. So now, like as I've told you, like in this thing, this wasn't even like an interview. This is like counseling, and I appreciate you for for
That's the thing. Sometimes I do without me doing it. I'm like, I don't know why. I'm always
for counseling me. It's probably the worst interview I ever got, and I apologize. Like I got
not, but it's not you because I'm someone. When I start talking, it's not my fault. I'm just when I start talking with people, and I always go deep with emotion because I'm an eye sensitive person. So I always go deep with the emotion more than all the other interviews. So
right.
yes, I'm like, okay, now we go in like a therapy. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so it's like here we're s- we're supposed to talk about like Jay-Z and Rihanna and conspiracy, and then here we are talking about,
But
like
we
life.
Yes, we totally understand the conspiracy is there. All the people, we know the bad thing, the happening, we see the expos coming, but also on life, we also have our own battle. So it's another way to see stuff because it's good to see stuff because I'm sure people can live that situation and can see. Imagine someone came and learned like he get adopted and now he's like all his life thinking what happened to me, why they had up me, why my parent who didn't keep me, and could happen, a lot of stuff could happen to them. And this is a testimony you're doing right now, and you can help other people, you can help someone else who live in
For
exactly
sure.
that situation, and they like fighting all their life to find the parents, and after they say, is it gonna worth it that much? Yes, it could worth it at some point, but is it really gonna worth it? Sometimes you push away other thing to find something and finally say it wasn't worth it.
Right, right, right. And that's the thing. And it's like, listen, like I've been talking about like all this like pain and like sadness, but that was the fuel for me to be successful because I wasn't like as sad like you think. Like, yeah, there was some depression, but it fueled me and it drove me to reach heights, right? And I used that for motivation to do something, to do something different because I love what I do. I loved, coming out of a small town and making something with my life. And I told everybody that I would, and nobody believed me. And I was like, fuck all you guys, I'm gonna do this, you know? And I love that, right? And I'm able to, like I'm able to, say that I've reached goals, but I'm not done. Like now I'm really dangerous because I've been through all that stuff. I've been through all that emotional stuff. I did get knocked out, but like I said, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, the home of Muhammad Ali, and I was knocked out, but I'm going to get back up. And now this fight that I'm doing, it isn't going to stop me. Family, parents, worry, children, nothing is. Like, and whatever that is, I'm going for it. I'm running towards it. I'm embracing it. And I'm going to give everything that I have. And that's what makes me so dangerous. And like we're talking about to kids, it's the hardest working people that make it. Rihanna, she didn't have the Beyonce type voice. She didn't have the Whitney Houston type voice, but she outworked all of them. It's like the first one in the gym, the last one out. She was obsessed with being successful. She couldn't sing like Adele, but she would outwork Adele. she would outwork all these people, and that's been my success. Is I'll just outwork you. You send 5 emails, I'm sending 500. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I go for it. So, anyways, sorry about that.
Never give up. And also as a peer, the energy, like when you start at a peer, you have to be on the place, the on all the place, or it's go like when you're a peer, a publicist. You
Right,
just
right. And it's just like the Bible. And this will be the last thing because I got to run off here.
exactly.
It's like I'm kind of on like that the David and Goliath type of thing, right? Because you know David had his little rock and his little slingshot, and he took down the giant. He took down the system, right? And that's what it's like. Yeah, we had a $200 budget for Rihanna. That was our little rock, and that was our little slingshot. But we took down the giant, right? And the music industry, and we did it. And so that's what makes me very passionate. Is like, okay, you can beat us with resources, you can beat us with budget, but you can't outthink us. You're not as smart as us. We can defeat you through strategy, right? And so a lot of people get hung up on they don't have this amount of money, they don't have this. No, it's all about strategy, and that's what it's all about. And that's what I am. I'm strategic, right? So, and that's what I tell people today for like publicity. It's like I don't want to be someone's publicist where I'm like going to the red carpets. I've done all that with them. I don't want to be that person. We'll get someone else to do that, but I'll be your thinker and I'll help you come up with strategy. And that's the stuff that makes me excited, right? So
Yes, I kind of like what I like to be able in the back and just working, giving the tip, do it like that, and
for
I
sure.
love the tip.
For sure, it's like the coach. It's like when you've got the sports team, like the coach with all his players, all these moving parts. There's so many moving parts, with the business, right? So I'm like a coach.
Yes, and it's a big thing to be a coach because some people they will see like LeBron James. I will give an example of LeBron James, but LeBron James, he have a big team next to behind him, and he have a big team on his PR team. I'm pretty sure his team is big
For
also.
sure, for sure.
So when we look the way he hack, he's really have a team with him. And sometimes I love what taking note the way they're doing it, and I give like that. I can tips people, give advice to people, say, hey, we can try like that. Or the Kardashian. I don't talk that much about the Kardashian, but they all go to PR. They have a big PR team with them. Each of them have a PR.
The
So
Car- the, the Kardashians are amazing. Chris Jenner, the mother,
Mhm.
she's the most brilliant PR person in the world. I've met her. She is brilliant. Like she's the greatest. She's the goat. Like you know, the Kardashians. Like a lot of people don't like them, but it's just like they're amazing, right? Like I love the work. I love the work and I love the output.
Exactly. They find a formula, and 20 years they still have the same show running and still gonna run and make people still gonna talk. And
Right.
all of them get money on that and say Chris Jenner is the real goal. Definitely. And I look at her that much when I see stuff, I see that Chris do that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I will let you. I don't want because I know
Okay, you're good.
you have a busy schedule. But again, Jonathan, thank you very much. It was a nice talk. I don't see it as a net trivia as you see, but it was a nice talk. I learned so much and with you. And I hope people are also gonna learn, but there's so much stuff in it. But thank you. Do you
Yeah,
have a
thank you.
last word to end it?
Thank you. I love to come back. I love to talk to you. So just stay in touch and we'll keep doing it.
Definitely, we
And we'll
will.
get to it. We'll get to the money. We got it. We just got to keep fighting, you
Yes,
know.
we have
Yeah,
like you say it like we have like to push the fight, do the battle. We cannot stop. We just have to continue, and we will do make it.
for sure. The power's
But
in us. All right. All right. Thank you so much.
thank you. Have a nice day again, and
All right,
we
you too.
talk
Thank you.
soon.
All right. All right, bye.
Bye. Ok, voilà, l'entrevue est terminée. C'est en anglais, mais vous êtes avec la DOA, donc on a pu faire l'entrevue avec Jonathan High. As you know, l'entrevue, c'est beaucoup. Prenez le temps de le regarder, mettez les sous-titres comme vous voulez. Mais ça a été un vrai plaisir de passer tout ce temps-là. On a passé beaucoup de temps. Et puis, j'espère que vous avez bien aimé cette intervention, mais moi, j'ai vraiment apprécié la possibilité de discuter avec quelqu'un dans l'industrie. Comme vous voyez, il a pu travailler avec beaucoup de personnes. Donc, je vous laisse profiter de tout ça.